Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. Our today's session is on the development of writing skill. Well, writing is a very essential part of academic activities that students have to perform. But before I would go into the details of what do I mean by development of writing skill, I would like to share the review of our previous lesson. Our previous lesson was on the efficient use of memory. In that session we shared what does it mean to have efficient memory. What is memory building and what are the efficient uses of memory was also discussed. In that session I also shared with you what mental processes are involved in remembering. Then the role of short-term memory and how data is shifted from the short-term memory to the long-term memory was shared with you. A very important part of the previous lesson was on common problems of students with reference to remembering. I pointed out the common problems that students face when it comes to use memory efficiently, and I also tried to present some solutions to those as well. Thus I shared some strategies to remember. I also had some activities for you that we did together. Purpose was to enable you to identify how memory can be used in an efficient way, and also I tried to give you some practice in improving your working of memory. Finally, in that session we talked about memory as a problem-solving tool, and I tried to relate it to the academic contexts in which you study as well. With this we come to our today's session. As I have already said, our today's session is on writing skills. Well, writing skill again is a very vast area, so many lectures after today's lecture would be related to writing skills or sub-skills. However, today's session is an introduction to writing skill or sub-skills. In this session, I would give you an overview of what does it mean to have good writing skills, what are the writing skills or sub-skills that you need to work academically in an efficient way. I would discuss the importance of writing skills in your academic lives. Then a needs analysis for the writing needs of students in our context, that is the Pakistani context, would be done. We would explore what kind of needs of writing do you have, so what types of writing you need to learn. With this we would come to the types of writing, where mainly I would start with the features of formal and informal writing. I would differentiate in what is formal writing and how it is different from informal writing. I would share the features of each of these, would give you examples, and also would talk of the context in which each of these is to be used. Towards the end of the session, we would move towards what is academic writing. I would introduce you to different types of academic writing. At this point, I would like to make it clear that the different types of academic writing that I would introduce in today's session, we would later on have a separate complete session on these different types of writing, because they mainly address your needs in academic field. Anyways, in today's session, we would also talk about writing as a study skill and the process of writing for a student. Finally, we would talk about mind mapping, and we would see how mind mapping can be used as a tool to write in a more effective and efficient way. So to start with today's session, we would discuss what writing skills are. Writing skills are specific abilities which help writers put their thoughts into words in a meaningful form and to mentally interact with the message. Dear students, I would like to point out some important aspects of this definition of writing skills. Writing skills are specific abilities. Well, specific in terms of written communication, which help writers put their thoughts into words. So this is choosing appropriate words, organizing them into appropriate structural and syntactic forms in a meaningful way. So to express something that is presented in a meaningful way, to mentally interact with the message. So a mental process or a cognitive process is involved with the help of which the message is translated into words, and these words are translated into the written form of the words, appropriately presented both semantically and syntactically. When I say semantically, it means in terms of meanings, and when I say syntactically, it means in terms of structure, in terms of appropriate grammar. Well, this brings us to the question why writing skills are important, or why you have to have good writing skills. Number one, writing skills give you the ability to express. In fact, writing skills help the learner to communicate in writing with independence, accuracy, fluency, comprehensibility, and creativity. In this particular definition of what do I mean by ability to express, there are a few items that are very important. Number one, writing with independence, which means a writer or a student or a user of language is able to express himself or herself in the written form without any external help, which means he or she can deal with the cognitive processes that are involved in writing and can semantically, syntactically, and grammatically, he or she can create correct sentences to express his or her views. The second significance of writing skills is that they help you encode message for others. Well, the reality of our everyday communication is that when we talk to people with the help of gestures, body movements, expressions, and in the context in which we say something, a lot is conveyed. But when it comes to writing, most of the times writing goes in an isolated form, which means you, the background, the context, nothing goes along. So to encode a message in the written form is more difficult, because the gestures, the body movements, expressions, etc. do not accompany. In that case, it is important that if learners have mastered the writing skills, only then he or she would be able to encode the message appropriately. And only in that case, he or she would be able to write so that not only he or she himself can read what is written, but also the speakers of that language can understand that appropriately. Well, on this slide, I'm going to share with you some of the writing goals that are defined by Hampton 1989 for the writers. Writers here means any type of writers. Writers for any kind of academic writing would be a part of this. Number one, writers are independent when they are able to write without much assistance. So how you would judge when you want to check the independence of a writer, that is his or her ability to write without much assistance or outside help. As far as comprehensibility is concerned, writers gain comprehensibility when they can write so that it can be read and understood by themselves and by others, all those others who understand that language. Another goal is writers are fluent when they are able to write smoothly and easily as well as understandably. So to be fluent in writing is very, very important. Writers gain creativity when they can write their own ideas, not copying what has already been written, so that they can be read and understood. अच्छा, अब इस point पे what I would like to share is कि आपके लिए this is very, very important. Why this is important? I would say हमारे यहाँ the kind of academic system that we have, in this academic system actually there is very less scope for what I would say creativity. Most of the time students cram what they read, they learn it by heart, And if you allow me, I would like to say they just vomit it out in the examination hall. They reproduce exactly the same that they have learned. They do not have the ability to creatively present the same thought, which means they cannot write or express in their own words or in different ways. The reality of written communication is that we can express the same idea in many ways. There are various possibilities of writing the same thing. So, the creativity of a writer means his or her ability to present his or her ideas in a different way, in a unique way, in a new way, or in a changed way. Not copying something that is already written by somebody or that is said by somebody. There is no doubt that great writing requires an extensive skill set. This skill set includes a lot. The writer has to understand vocabulary, syntax, context, and grammar. These are the 4 basic requirements for using your writing skill set in order to write any piece of writing. Basic element that is required is vocabulary. Vocabulary is your fund of words. If you do not have a reasonably good fund of words in any language, it is difficult for you to write in that language because you would not be able to find appropriate expressions for yourself. The second item is syntax. Well, syntax, if I define syntax, I would say syntax is the arrangement or organization of words on the string of sentence. कैसे एक sentence में different words को organize किया जाता है, which word would come first and which would follow, what is the place for a subject, what is the place for an object, where the verb is to be placed, what is the position of an adjective or an adverb, etc. At this point, I would also like to say that syntax of one language differs and it may vary from the syntax of the other language. Which means if you want to write in a particular language, you need to be aware of the syntactic rules of that language. You need to know the rules of the construction of sentences or groups of words or structures within that language. अगर आपको याद हो, somewhere in the past talking about the communication skills, I gave you the example of a kind of sentence, as I remember it now, up the ladder he climbed. Now, looking at this example, up the ladder he climbed, I am sure the meaning would not be clear to the reader of that kind of a sentence if it is written. Why? All the elements, that is the vocabulary items within this sentence, they are perfectly well chosen, but their syntax, that is their organization within the sentence, is not very much correct. They need to be put into a proper order, in an appropriate order, so that the reader can understand what is said by the writer. So, he climbed up the ladder. This is the correct construction in terms of syntax or in terms of the structure. Until and unless you do not know which part of the selected items of vocabulary is to be placed where on this syntactic organization of the words on the string of the sentence, you cannot produce a correct sentence. By the way, in the next session, we would talk about sentence structure. There I would go into details of different kind of syntactic structures that are used for creating different types of sentences. Another important part of the set of skills that a writer needs to have is the context. The context of the situation in which a particular piece of writing is to be used, the context in which the writer is writing. Whatsoever he or she is writing, what is its background? Without having the knowledge of that, the writer maybe would not be able to produce an appropriate piece of writing. By context, what I mean is, for example, if you are asked to write a reply, now you need to know a reply of what. Is it a reply of a letter or an application? Is it a reply of an inquiry? Or, for example, it is a reply of a mail, that is email. In all these situations, since the context is different, even if you have to convey the same message, the message is to be conveyed in different words, in different structures, and it is to be presented in a completely different way. The last item that is mentioned here on the slide as a part of the extensive skill set for writing is grammar. Grammar provides the basic structure, I would say, to any piece of writing. जो आपका बुनियादी ढांचा, बुनियादी structure है जो आप लिखते हैं, that is set with the help of grammar. Later on you add flesh and bones to it, and you add blood to it to give it kind of meaning you want to give it. You add more or less flesh where you need to give it a particular form or shape. But the basic structure is to be organized with the help of grammar. Thus, vocabulary, syntax, context and grammar are the four important parts that are needed for great writing, for good writing, or what I would say for efficient writing. Then come organization into paragraphs. Well, at some stage during the next sessions, we would also go into the details of organizing paragraphs. Actually, we would talk about how a paragraph is to be designed, and then how different paragraphs are to be designed and organized within a bigger piece of writing. At this point, where we are just starting with the development of writing skills, I would only say nobody is born knowing how to write. We all have to work at building and growing our writing skills. अब यहाँ पर I have used the word skill again. If you remember, I have already shared quite a few times with you the example of driving. I talked about that with reference to speaking, listening and reading. And I would say same goes as the case is with writing, because writing is also a skill like driving or any other skill. You need to have practice in that. The more you would have practice, the more you would be able to write. The more you would be able to write fluently, smoothly, effectively and efficiently. Well, my dear students, I would say better writing is not something that happens overnight. It needs a lot of practice, it needs a lot of patience, it needs a lot of revision, and it needs learning a lot of sub-skills. In fact, it is a long-term goal. But before we start working on developing our writing skills, we need to identify our writing needs. Somebody who writes poetry, for example, for pleasure, somebody who writes novels for publication, somebody who works in a firm and writes responses to letters or replies to letters, somebody who is a student who does academic writing. The needs of each one of these are different from the needs of others. Before you start developing your writing skills, if you are conscious of, or if you are able to identify what exactly are your needs, what are your requirements, or what kind of writing you want to have the ability to do, this really helps you to be very focused in learning the set of skills that would help you produce good pieces of writing. Well, when it comes to how to write efficiently, effectively and clearly, I would say there are a few factors that are involved in efficient, effective and clear writing. The first thing that is important in this regard is format. The first step to clear writing is choosing the appropriate format. Do you need to send an informal email? Or you need to write a detailed report? Or you are creating advertising copy? Or you are writing a formal letter? Each of these needs a specific format. तो अगर आपको the conventions of that particular kind of writing, if you know what are the specific patterns or a specific pattern or format that is related to that kind of writing, if you have the knowledge of that, it really becomes easy for you to write that piece of writing in a more effective and efficient way. The second thing that you need to know is your audience, because actually the format as well as your audience will define your writing voice. What I mean by writing voice is how formal or relaxed the tone should be. So the tone of your voice, how very much formal or informal it has to be, is very, very important to be identified for a specific kind of writing. For instance, if you are writing an email to a teacher, should it have the same tone as an email to a friend? Definitely not. Of course, when you would be writing to a teacher, you would be more formal in your writing style as compared to when you are writing an email to a friend. So, when you write something, start by identifying who will read your message. This is very, very crucial. Identifying the audience and the format are the first two steps that make your journey start in a better way, and that makes the journey smooth as well. The next step towards efficient, effective and clear writing is the care that you take about composition and style. Once you know what you are writing and for whom you are writing, that is, you know the format of the specific piece of writing and the audience, you actually have to start writing. A blank white computer screen is often intimidating, and so is the case with a blank sheet of paper, and it's easy to get stuck because you don't know how to start. So in order to start, try these tips for composing and styling your document. Start with your audience. Remember, your readers may know nothing about what you are telling them. So what do they need to know first? So what I mean here is, it is not enough to only know what your audience is. It is also important to know how far and how much your audience knows about what you are writing. अब देखें ना, अगर तो audience does not know at all anything about what you are writing, तो you would start from alif, you would start from very A. आप बिल्कुल शुरू से इसको शुरू करेंगे. But if you have the knowledge that your audience knows about a certain thing to a certain extent, तो फिर आप उसको वहीं से शुरू करेंगे. So it gives a kind of a context or appropriate backdrop to your writing. Then to compose and to stylize your writing, before you start writing, it is good that you create an outline. This is especially helpful if you're writing a longer document such as an essay, a report, a presentation or a speech. Outlines help you identify which steps to take in which order, and they help you break the task up into manageable pieces of information. Outline banana, with my experience as a teacher, what I would like to say is that most of the students generally think making an outline is wasting time. Especially when it comes to academic writing in examination, they actually, even if they are asked to, if they are suggested to make outlines, they generally avoid them. Generally, students avoid making outlines for the simple reason that they think they would take time and that time would be wasted. However, at this point, I would like to reiterate that making outlines does not waste time. It rather saves your time and helps you organize your writing. अगर आप, for example, अगर लाहौर से आप रावलपिंडी के लिए सफ़र कर रहे हैं, तो there is kind of sign posting on the road. रोड पे जगह जगह लिखा होता है ना, माइलस्टोन्स लगे हुए होते हैं that tell you कि अच्छा अब इतने किलोमीटर तय हो गया, अब इतने किलोमीटर रहता है. Then you also get directions कि अब यहाँ से दाएं मुड़ना है. अगर आप मोटरवे पे ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं तो अगला एग्जिट कौन सा आएगा, पेट्रोल कहाँ पर अवेलेबल होगा, नेक्स्ट स्टॉप कौन सा है, वगैरह वगैरह. All the information is provided. And if as a driver you are careful about all these signposts, These signposts actually help you know the way towards your destination. They guide you and they save your time as well as energy. Same happens with writing. If you outline your writing, if you create an outline or a sketch before you start writing, it really helps you. What happens in that case is you do not get distracted. You do not move in a wrong direction, and after a long time realizing that you are moving in a wrong direction, of course, wastes a lot of time. It also makes your driving through your writing comfortable because you already know which stop would come as next, from where you have to take a right or a left turn or a U-turn in your writing, and at what point you would shift or change your direction, etc. So I would say that creating an outline is a very, very efficient tool that enables you write in a better, well-planned and organized way. This results in a far more effective, efficient and clear writing. It is also important to identify your main theme at the outset. जब आप कुछ लिखने लगें तो आपका main idea क्या है? You need to identify that. If you have trouble with identifying or defining the main theme of your message, pretend that you have 15 seconds to explain your position. What would you say? Talk to yourself for a while. Basic बात आप क्या कहना चाहते हैं? This is likely to be your main theme. So at the outset of any piece of writing, identify your main idea and your stance on that idea so that you could present it in a more clear way. And finally, what I would say here with reference to the points given on this slide is that use simple language. Unless you're writing a scholarly article, it is usually good to use simple language, language that is simple and direct. The main tip is do not use long words, long sentences, complicated structures just to impress people. Continuing with the same, that is the set of skills that are needed for writing, I would say structure your writing. That is, your document should be as reader friendly as possible. If it is organized, if it is presented in a reader friendly way, it would be easy for the reader to understand that. And this organization or the structure of writing would help the reader to have clarity on what you have presented. One of the common ways of doing that is use headings, subheadings, bullet points and numbering, etc. when possible to break up the text. Without using paragraphing, headings, subheadings, bullet points, numbering, etc., if you keep on writing on a page, it becomes monotonous for the eye of the reader. The reader cannot identify the changes, the shifts, what I call the right or left turns or U-turns in your writing, and would not be able to follow you properly through the text. The reality is, after all, what's easier to read? And that is a page full of long paragraphs or a page that has been broken up into short paragraphs. Paragraphs with section headings and bullet points. And I'm sure your answer would be that a page full of long paragraphs without divisions would be very difficult to read as compared to a page that has different paragraphs of different sizes and that has headings and bullets, etc. as signposts. Now, creating your headings. Headings should grasp the attention of the reader. They should be focused and they should be representative of what is said in those particular sections or in those particular paragraphs under those headings. I would also suggest think of other possibilities of visual supports. Tables, graphs, charts, pictures, etc. Which of these do you have? Which of these you can lay hand at? Which of these you can use as a source to support visually what you are writing? Efficient writers always use visual aids not only to keep the reader's eye engaged but also to communicate more important information in a far quicker way than the text. If you can remember, while talking about reading, मैंने आपसे कहा था कि if you come across charts, tables, paragraphs, pictures, as an efficient reader, पहले उनको देखिए, they give you a lot of information even before you read the text. So reciprocally here I would say, when you are writing, of course you as an efficient writer need to use all these so that you could create a good piece of writing that would be supportive and that would be reader friendly for the person who is going to deal with your text as a reader. And finally, once you are done with some kind of piece of writing, proofread. Again, as a teacher out of experience, I would see that most of the times students find proofreading very difficult. Again, they most of the times overlook its need. They do not pay attention to it. Even if they do it very speedily. And the enemy of good proofreading is speed. Most of the students, they rush through their documents, but this is how you miss all the mistakes. So how to do good proofreading? I would say, once you have written something, proofread the text by doing the following. Number one, proof your headers and subheaders. आमतौर पे क्या होता है, आप proofreading करते हैं और उस process में you forget the headings and subheadings. People often skip these and focus on the text alone. Just because headers are big and bold, it does not mean at all that there are no errors in them or there is no possibility of going wrong. So you need to check your headers and subheaders, क्योंकि अगर उनमें गलती है कहीं पर किसी heading में तो वो और ज़्यादा prominent होके सामने आती है. Another important aspect of proofreading is read the document out loud. This forces you to go more slowly so that you are more likely to catch mistakes. So loud reading helps in proofreading. And start at the end of your document. What I mean by that is कि जहाँ document खत्म किया है, start from that point and go backwards. Proofreading one sentence at a time, working your way from the end to the beginning. This helps you focus on errors, not on the content. वरना क्या होता है, जब आप प्रूफ रीडिंग कर रहे होते हैं, most of the times there is a shift of your focus on the contents of the piece of writing more than on the errors, and thus your eye skips all those errors. So this is how you complete your document carefully by proofreading. My dear students, as I said at the outset of today's session, that writing is a very, very extensive area and it includes a lot of things that we would cover in several sessions. However, this session is an overview of the basic aspects of writing. With that reference, I would say writing style is very important. Two main writing styles are formal and informal, or formal and colloquial. Well, colloquial writing style or informal writing style is similar to a spoken conversation. Informal writing may include slangs, use of figures of speech, broken syntax, asides, and so on. Informal writing takes a personal tone as if you are speaking to somebody, to the audience, the reader. You can use the first person pronouns or point of view such as I and we, and you are also likely to address the reader using second person pronoun you and your. So in informal writing, most of the times the tone of writing is more friendly, it is more like conversations, it is more like talking to people. That is why it can have the use of colloquial language, informal phrases, broken sentences. जिस तरह से हम बात करते हैं आम जिंदगी में, तो बाज़ दफ़ा we don't speak complete sentences. Most of our sentences go as incomplete sentences. There are a lot of repetitions, etc. So you can do all this when it comes to informal writing. Informal and colloquial writing is also simple, which means short sentences are used and they are acceptable, sometimes essential to making a point in informal writing. There may be incomplete sentences or ellipses to make the points clear. In the same way, in colloquial writing, contractions and abbreviations are used. Words are likely to be simplified using contractions, for example, I'm, doesn't, couldn't, it's. And abbreviations, TV, photos instead of television or photographs, whenever possible they can be used. Maybe you would have noticed that during these sessions when I present material on the slides, To give it a slightly informal tone and to make it more friendly towards you, sometimes I use all these abbreviations. Another important aspect of colloquial writing style is empathy and emotion. The author can show empathy towards the reader regarding the complexity of a thought and can help them through that complexity. We need to compare the colloquial writing style to the formal writing style, and here on this slide you can see the important features of formal writing style. Well, formal writing style is more complex as compared to the colloquial style that is simple. In formal writing style, longer sentences are likely to be more prevalent, and you need to be as thorough as possible with your approach. I repeat that you need to be as thorough as possible with your approach to each topic when you are using a formal style. Each main point needs to be introduced, elaborated, and concluded. In the same way, formal writing is more objective as compared to informal writing. What I mean by that is that state your main points confidently and offer full support arguments. A formal writing style shows a limited range of emotions and avoids emotive punctuation such as exclamation marks, ellipses, etc., unless they are being cited from another source or you are quoting somebody's spoken word. In comparison to this, if you remember, we talked about informal or colloquial writing that is more subjective, which means that has emotions and feelings involved. In the same way, in formal writing, full words are used and abbreviations are most of the times avoided. No contractions should be used to simplify words. In other words, use it is rather than its. In the same way, abbreviations must be spelled out in full when first used. The only exceptions being when the acronym is better known than the full name. For example, BBC, ITV, or NATO. These are the abbreviations or acronyms that are more popular and that are known worldwide far more frequently and easily by people as compared to the full names. So you can use these abbreviations in formal writing as well. As far as the tone of formal writing is concerned, third person tone is to be used. Formal writing is not a personal writing style. The formal writer is disconnected from the topic, which means his or her emotions, feelings, or point of view towards that writing is not to, it has not to, interfere with writing, and the writer does not use the first person point of view, that is I or we, or second person you. You is also not used to address people as we do most of the times when it comes to informal writing. With this we come to the point that is very important for us to know, that is when to use formal and informal writing styles. Well, a formal writing style is not necessarily better than an informal style. ये हमारा एक general misconception है कि formal writing style is better, it is to be appreciated more. It is not the case. However, it depends upon the need. It depends upon the requirement of writing. It depends upon the format and the context of writing. Rather, I would say that each style serves a different purpose and care should be taken in choosing which style to be used in each case in a particular situation. For example, writing for professional purposes is likely to require the formal style, although individual communications can use the informal style once you are familiar with the recipient. So even in a formal context, in a formal professional situation, if you are emailing somebody, if you are familiar with that person, you can be informal in that. Note that emails tend to lend themselves to a less formal style than paper-based communications, but you should still avoid the use of text talk. If in doubt as to how formal writing should be in a particular context, in a particular background, on a particular occasion, in a particular backdrop, what I would say is it is usually better to err on the side of caution and be formal rather than informal. What I mean by that is कि अगर किसी situation में if you are writing something और आपको समझ नहीं आ रही कि आप कितने formal हो या कितने informal हो in your writing, तो गलती का chance तो है, but it would be better that you are formal, क्योंकि that would be less annoying for the reader and it would be safer. Even if it would not suit much the needs, at least it would not hurt or it would not disturb as much as informal writing can do in that context or in that situation. With this, I come to a very important part of writing skills sessions, that is students and writing. Here I would give you an introduction to academic writing. That is the need for which the students write or the requirements of writing as far as students are concerned. Well, talking of our background in Pakistan, I would say most of our students, they have to do certain kind of writing activities for their academic purposes. These activities include writing summaries, writing explanations, taking notes, writing answers of questions, doing comprehension activities in examinations, writing letters, essays, etc. And all of these are different types of academic writings that are very formalized and that are very, very format specific when it comes to academic writing in Pakistani context. Well, the question is, what is academic writing? Academic writing is a more formal activity. It is a more conscious activity of knowing the format, knowing the requirements of writing. It is linear, it is informative, and it uses a standard written format of language, which means slang or colloquial language is not used in the case of academic writing. Okay, here is a list of all the possibilities of academic document types. Academic document types that you come across can be books. You can have a book as academic document type, a book report, conference paper, a dissertation or a thesis, an essay, an explication, a research paper, a technical report, or a translation. Different types of academic writings that students are exposed to, they include exam questions and essay titles that students write. They also include instructional material or handouts or reading lists that usually are meant for students to read. So notice the difference. पहले वाली वो है जहाँ पर the students write. दूसरी तरह की academic writing वो है that the students are exposed to in terms of reading, जो उन्हें पढ़ना होता है. And actually they all are actually most of the times these are integrated. For example, in exams, when you do exam questions, actually reading of instruction material is a part of that. आप पढ़ के समझते हैं क्या करना है, and then in the light of instructions you write something as answers to the questions in exam. And the third general broader possibility is of presentations, which include usually short and often illustrated presentations that students have to prepare. Sometimes students have to do some kind of academic writing that is related to research and planning. This kind of academic writing includes experiment plans, research reports, raw data collection plans, and structured notes that students use for their research. Well, these were the kind of academic writing activities that students do within the academic sphere, within the institutions. But there is a lot of academic writing that takes place outside the formal institutionalized situations or the contexts in which the students study. Disseminating knowledge outside the academy is a part of academic writing. Which includes writing calls for papers, writing documentary film scripts or television radio scripts, writing obituaries, writing opinions, that is any academic kind of expression of your opinion on some piece of writing as an expert. This kind of writing where academic writing is used also involves reviews of books, exhibitions, films, events, etc. In the same way, writing pamphlets, position papers of briefing papers are a part of that writing area which uses academic writing. Sometimes we use academic writing for collating the work of others, that is for anthologies, collections, collations, ordering and editing of the work of others, etc. In the same way, monographs or exhibition catalogues, usually containing exemplary works and a scholarly essay, etc., are written in formal academic writing. Sometimes they contain new work by a creative writer responding to the work as well. So what you can notice is that academic writing has a very, very wide scope. Well, I would like you to have a look at the diagram or the picture that I have given here. This diagram shows you what abilities are involved in academic writing. If you notice, I have divided it into 6 levels. The top level is grammatical correctness. If you notice, this is the top level here at this point. Basic level is grammar. You would see this is the basic one, so this is very narrow as compared to, for example, judgment of appropriateness, that is comparatively broader. So grammatical correctness is the basic element or the basic ability that involves academic writing. It is basic and it is narrow. Notice this. Why it is narrow? It makes the, as I said, it provides a skeleton for your writing, and later on you build on it. You see these different parts. The second level is lexical mastery. Do you know what is lexical mastery? Well, lexis is words. So lexical mastery is the mastery over words, that is your vocabulary. So it is broader than if you compare it with the grammatical correctness. If you see, this is broader. In comparison to these two, third ability that involves good academic writing is mechanical ability. Well, mechanical ability is far broader as compared to the first two levels, that is grammatical correctness and lexical mastery. What do I mean by mechanical ability? Mechanical ability is to structurally organize your sentences, which means the syntax of the sentence. Verb पहले आएगा, noun पहले आएगा, subject पहले आएगा, predicate पहले आएगा, adverb कहाँ पर लगेगा, adjective कहाँ पे लगेगा. This all involves the syntactic knowledge. And then stylistic awareness. Stylistic awareness is a far broad area. कैसे you can create different styles, formal, informal, within formal or informal, how further styles can be created in writing. This is what it deals with. The fifth ability that is shown here is organizational power. This level, that is organizational power, it deals with things on two levels. One, it deals with the power of organization of thoughts and ideas within a paragraph. And then organizing these paragraphs within a bigger text needs organizational power. और ये है ना वो stage जिसके लिए you need to learn some kind of doing outlining. And you can see this is a very broad area, it covers a lot. ये सब चीजें जो ना पहले grammatical correctness, lexical mastery, mechanical ability and stylistic awareness. अगर ये चीजें नहीं हैं तो you cannot learn organizational power. You need to know all these to support you do this. And the broadest area, that is the area of ability that involves academic writing, is judgment of appropriateness. एक ही बात को आप 100 तरीकों से कह सकते हैं. You can say something in dozens of ways, but which way of saying that is more suitable in a particular context for a particular piece of writing and according to the format of a particular piece of writing, that is judging appropriateness of that particular kind of writing. अच्छा, यहाँ पर एक और बात जो मैं आप लोगों को बहुत क्लियरली बताना चाहूंगी, द फर्स्ट 3 levels, दैट इज ग्रामेटिकल करेक्टनेस, लेक्सिकल मास्टरी एंड मैकेनिकल एबिलिटी. ये जो 3 levels है ना माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, दीज आर द levels दैट कैन बी लर्नड विद द हेल्प ऑफ कॉन्शियस एफर्ट ऑफ नोइंग द रूल्स. ये तीनों रूल बेस्ड हैं, मतलब ग्रामर के भी रूल्स हैं, वोकैबुलरी आइटम्स के भी रूल्स हैं, कैसे सफिक्सेस प्रीफिक्सेस यूज करके यू कैन ऐड टू द नंबर ऑफ वर्ड्स दैट यू नो एटसेट्रा. सेंटेंस किस तरह से ऑर्गेनाइज होता है, हाउ डिफरेंट एलिमेंट्स आर टू बी पुट ऑन द स्ट्रिंग ऑफ सेंटेंस, व्हाट इज द प्लेस ऑफ विच आइटम, इसके भी रूल्स हैं. ये 3 आप हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल्स की बेसिस पे सीखते हैं. वंस यू लर्न ऑल दीज 3, एक्चुअली द अदर 3 are to be learned with practice. Stylistic awareness, organizational power, and judgment of appropriateness are the 3 parts of the abilities of academic writing that involve practice, that do not have any hard and fast rules as such, I would say. With this, we move on to the features of academic writing. So, to introduce the features of academic writing, I would say there are 8 main features of academic writing that are following. Number 1, academic writing is complex. Number 2, it is formal in nature. Number 3, it is precised. It is precised in form. Number 4, it is objective in its presentation or in terms of voice. Number 5, it is explicit, which means it is clear, it is direct, it does not keep things implicit. Number 6, it is accurate. Most appropriate choices are made. It is hedged. And it is responsible. The author takes the responsibility of presenting it in a neutral way. Later on, in some other session, we would work on the features of academic writing and we would explore all these 8 features in detail there. So far, what I would like to say is that just getting started with your writing, it is important that you interpret the task. Make sure that you fully understand your task of writing. आप क्यों लिख रहे हैं, आप किसके लिए लिख रहे हैं, आपने किस फॉर्मेट पे लिखना है. Knowing that is important. एकेडमिक राइटिंग के लिए ये वाला रूल वैसे ही है जैसे मैं पहले आपको जनरल राइटिंग की बात कर रही थी. मैंने तब भी ये बात कही कि नोइंग द फॉर्मेट एंड ऑडियंस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हेन इट कम्स टू एकेडमिक राइटिंग इट बिकम्स इवन मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट. व्हाई इट बिकम्स मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट? बिकॉज यू आर असेस्ड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट. आपको नंबर उसी के हिसाब से मिलते हैं ना. दूसरी राइटिंग में अगर किसी वक्त कोई लेटर बहुत अच्छा नहीं भी लिखा हुआ तो शायद उसमें नंबर नहीं मिलने हो, अगर से कोई ये समझे कि आपने बहुत अच्छा नहीं लिखा, बट you are not immediately to be evaluated and marked on the basis of that. But when it comes to academic writing, because assessment is and evaluation is attached with that, it becomes even more important. So it is also important that you understand assessment criteria. Think about how your academic work is assessed, particularly the specific task that is given to you in a particular context, and ensure that you understand how you will be assessed on that particular part. फिर आप उन चीज़ों को जहन में रख के लिखेंगे ना तो it would be more focused and it would be more rewarding, I would say. Another important aspect of academic writing is time management. अच्छा देखिए ना, अगर आप एक नॉवल लिख रहे हैं, आप पोइट्री लिख रहे हैं, आप किसी को लेटर लिख रहे हैं या ईमेल लिख रहे हैं, there is no time constraint most of the times. If the constraint is there, still it is flexible. आप थोड़ा ज़्यादा टाइम ले सकते हैं, आप बस रिवाइज करने का टाइम होता है. But when it comes to academic writing, most of the times you do not get time to revise, to think a lot. So you need to plan it properly. There is a specific time, for example 3 घंटे का आपका एक पेपर होता है, या for example classroom activity है, आधे घंटे की है, etc. So you plan your schedule before you begin an assignment, because that will help you to ensure you have enough time to complete a high quality piece of writing. So time management is very, very important in academic writing. Continuing on that, I would say that it is also important that you find information and you take notes appropriately. Using appropriate, relevant information sources and taking effective notes from them will strengthen the quality of your work. Dear students, as I said at the outset of today's session that towards the end of this session I would talk about mind mapping. I would tell you what is mind mapping and how it can be used as a tool in academic writing. So here I present the idea of mind mapping. Mind mapping is, as the very term shows, it is kind of creating a map in your brain or whatsoever systematically you can use to think about the idea that you have to write on, and then creating it on a piece of paper as your rough work. Here I would share the process of mind mapping with you, how to do a mind map. Mind mapping or concept mapping involves writing down a central idea and thinking up new and related ideas which radiate out from the center. By focusing on key ideas written down in your own words and then looking for branches out and connections between the ideas, you are mapping knowledge in a manner which will help you understand and remember new information. I would sum up this idea in different words now. What I mean by mind mapping is a concept map जिसमें main idea जो आपका होता है, you put it at the center and you try to think of the relevant ideas, उससे related ideas, themes या sub themes आप सोचने की कोशिश करते हैं. You write those on paper and you try to relate them. You branch out and develop connections between the new ideas and the central idea that you already have. This helps you use all the knowledge or all the information that you already have with you. This also helps you remember and recall the information that you can use for that particular piece of writing. Well, talking about the use of mind mapping as a tool in academic writing, I would say look for relationships. What do I mean by looking for relationships while mind mapping? I would say use lines, colors, arrows, branches, or some other ways of showing connections between the ideas generated on your mind map. These relationships may be important in your understanding new information or in constructing a structured essay plan. Well, looking for relationships in mind mapping is important because by personalizing the map with your own symbols and designs, you will be constructing visual and meaningful relationships between ideas which will assist in your recall and understanding of those ideas. The natural result would be that you would be in a better position to explain and elaborate upon those ideas when you start writing. Another important tip for that is draw quickly on unlined paper without pausing, judging or editing. It's kind of dumping out. Whatsoever comes to your mind, quickly just write that. All of these things promote linear thinking, and the idea of mind mapping is to think creatively and in a non-linear way. There will be plenty of time for modifying the information later on, but at this stage it is important to get every possibility into the mind map. What I mean by that is, जो ideas आपके ज़हन में आते हैं ना, just keep on jotting them down on a piece of paper. बाद में आप उनके links establish कर सकते हैं by using arrows, lines, colors, etc. आप उनको link up करके आप उनको एक linear form में ला सकते हैं, आप उनको एक organization दे सकते हैं फिर. Sometimes it is one of those obscure possibilities that may become the key to your knowledge of a topic. बाज़ दफ़ा एक idea जो apparently does not sound to be very relevant, if you put it on the mind map, maybe you are able to establish a link or you are able to look for a relationship of this idea with the other ideas later on जब आप फिर उसको organize कर रहे होंगे. So draw quickly on the unlined paper with all that comes to your mind without pausing, judging or editing. Write down key ideas. Some students find that using capital letters encourages them to get down only the key points. Capitals are also easier to read in a diagram. You may, however, wish to write down some explanatory notes in lowercase. Some students do this when they revisit the mind map at a later date or at a later stage of their writing or at a later time point, while others write in such things as assessment criteria in this way. So basically you can pick and choose accordingly later on. Put main idea in the center. Yes, most students find it useful to turn their page on the side and do a mind map in landscape style. With the main idea or topic in the middle of the page, this gives the maximum space for other ideas to radiate from the center. ये जिस तरह से आपकी स्क्रीन है ना आपके कंप्यूटर की या लैपटॉप की जिस पे आप इसको इस वक्त रन कर रहे हैं वो लैंडस्केप फॉर्म में है ना, more broader and less higher. So that kind of you see space is to be used for putting your main ideas down, because that provides you more space. तो आप पेज को उस तरह से भी use कर सकते हैं. It would also be a good idea to say that leave lots of space. Some of the most useful mind maps are those which are added to over a period of time. जब आप mind mapping कर रहे हैं तो उसको बहुत closely ना लिखें सब ideas को. Give some space so that after the initial drawing of the map you may wish to highlight things, add information or add questions for the duration of a subject right up until exam time. तो फिर आप उसको दोबारा से कर सकें. So if you have left some space तो उसके ऊपर फिर overwriting नहीं होगी. You would have space for this. For this reason it is a good idea to leave lots of space so that later on you can fill that up for making your mind maps work efficiently. So students, mind mapping is to be used as a tool. Well, a lot of students use mind maps but they do not try to work on them systematically. I have shared the tips with you how you can work on a mind map in a more systematic way. I hope if you follow this, you would be able to do that. With this, we move towards the conclusion of our today's session. Before I conclude the session, I would like to share a review of our today's learning. Today's session, as I said, was started with an introduction to writing skills or sub-skills. Well, I shared with you that writing is a very, very extensive area and it cannot be covered in one session. So we would do several sessions on writing skills and we would explore different aspects of writing. However, to give you an introduction to the development of writing skill and to provide you an overview of all this, in today's session I introduced what are writing skills or sub-skills. Why writing skills? Why it is important to learn writing skills or to get proficient in writing skills. I also talked about the needs analysis for writing and I encouraged you to think of your needs as writers. I encourage you to think of particular kind of writing needs that you have as students or learners of English at this particular stage of your lives. Then I moved on to the types of writing where I introduced to you formal and informal writing. I talked about different features of informal writing and then in comparison to that I presented formal writing and its important features. I also shared with you what are the contexts or backgrounds in which formal or informal writing is a suitable choice. With this, I moved on to academic writing. I shared with you the definition of academic writing, what it is. And then I talked of different types of academic writing. I shared different features of academic writing with you. And I also told you that later on we would work in detail on these features in some other session. Our session then moved towards writing as a study skill and the process of writing for a student and what factors are involved in that. Finally, and towards the end of the session, I introduced the concept of mind mapping. I explained what mind mapping is, how it can be used effectively and efficiently for producing better academic writing. I also shared a few tips that may help in doing good mind mapping. So dear students, this was the review of the session that we did today. With this, I would close the session. Thank you very much.